Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. My name is Disa Silego and you're tuned into a safe space where we talk about life, love and all things healing. In today's video, we're talking communication, and as you can see from the title, we're talking communication within relationships. It's largely spoken about how communication is good communication that is fuel for a great relationship or a successful marriage or whatever the case may be, right? But what I've also learned in my journey is how we place it so high up that we tend to forget other things that come into an effective or a good communication style. So when my husband and I went to post-marital counseling with our spiritual parents, with our pastors, I thought when I sat there and I pointed out that I don't think we have a good communication relationship, or yeah, I don't think our communication styles complement each other. I thought that's where we're going to start, because communication is so important in relationships, right? That's what we're fed. And the first thing that my pastor said to me was like, we'll get there, because that's not the most important one. But I'm just like, but I feel like I'm not heard. I need to be heard. I need to speak this way so that he can understand why I'm speaking this way and all of that. And he was just like, it is important, yes, but the most important thing for you right now is to confront your brokenness that is informing the style of communication that you have in the relationship. So in this video, this is what we're talking about. Ooh, guys, there's noise next door. I gave them time to stop doing all these things that they're doing, and they just decided to start again when I want to film. So excuse the noise, and I'll try to um, um, lower the noise when I edit. But anyway, let's get into the conversation. So, like I said, picking up from that conversation that I had in our counseling session, right? It got me thinking. It got me thinking really deep about this whole communication, because what I've come to learn is that communication is two ways. You are either on the receiving end of whatever expression somebody is trying to lay before you, or you are either the one who's expressing. You're either the one who's doing the communicating, and what informs how you take somebody else's expression of whatever they want to explain to you is experience. So, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. If in any given moment, I'll give an example of you having a conversation, a heated conversation, an argument or a disagreement with somebody, your friend or your lover, right? If in any given moment they say something that reminds you and reminds your body of how it felt when somebody else said something similar, you automatically go into defense mode, and your response to whatever the person said will come from that trigger. So if you're on the receiving end of whatever is being communicated, right, you will always or most of the times, respond from the point of your triggers or the level of healing regarding what you think is being communicated. So I say think because sometimes we are quick to respond from trigger zone instead of actually hearing what's being said, right? And I'll give you an example with how in the first year of marriage, how my husband and I, or how I took my husband's communication towards me. So I mentioned in the previous video that when I met my husband, he was in a relationship, right? So that whole drama of him, breaking up with the ex, and the transition of him coming into a new marriage and not with the ex, brought a whole lot of drama that child we'll talk about one day. But one of the things that was said that really hurt me was from the ex, and if my journey of recovering from low self-esteem and all of that. So when all of that was happening, I was still in the middle of the lowest of the lowest self-esteem issues, and she said something about how I didn't have style or taste in something, in clothing or something, and then so she told my husband that she would like to help him pick clothes or something like that. And then my husband was like, no, I'm going to go with Disetso. And then she's like, with Disetso, but Disetso doesn't have style, And then I laughed back then because I'm just like, what do you even mean, I laughed at it, I laughed about it until when I sat down and I was just like, what does this person mean actually, But anyway, that's a story for another day. This is not about that. Anyway, so when we got married a few months later, my husband, we were now moving into a new place, and we were just talking about how, to decorate our new space, the kind of style that we wanted in there. And my husband said something about him not liking what I wanted for the dining area, right? And what I heard at that moment was, oh, so he also thinks that I don't have styles. Obviously, I can't really say what he said exactly because I don't remember, because maybe my mind blocked it because I was so quick to respond from my trigger zone, right? So for me, I took it as, oh, so he now agrees that I don't have style. And it wasn't as, oh, he doesn't like this kind of chair, maybe we should look for one that he likes, no. At that point, I was just like, oh, basically he agrees that I don't have style. And it caused a huge, problem. And with a lot of things that he says, that he would say, I would also always, translate it as that, or from that trigger, from that pain that I never healed from. When I was actually preparing for this video, I actually started realizing that before we can actually speak about effective or good communication, we need to be able to communicate our past hurts to whoever we're in a relationship with, so that we both understand each other. So from the example that I gave you with my husband and I, because I had not expressed to him how that hurt me, that incident hurt me, he probably didn't understand, or not probably, he did not understand why I would react the same way I'd react. And then therefore he wouldn't know how to rectify it the next time. He wouldn't know not to say certain words when he wants to express how he's feeling or communicate certain things to me, And I understood then why, when we went to therapy, our pastor was like, communication is important, but let's deal with the past hurts, So as I was doing self-introspection, and I realized that many times we are reactive communicators other than, good communicators. So this thought was brought by a recent IG live thing that I did, Instagram live that I did, concerning marital counseling, right? And the lady that I was interviewing, like, it was an amazing live, guys, you must go watch it. She mentioned how she and her husband have this whole marriage check that they do. I think they do it monthly or weekly, I just don't remember, but they have a marriage check where they sit down and they speak about, this is what hurt me, or this is what I'm not happy with, I'm happy with that, this and that, And it was amazing. If you watch it, we were also blown away, like, oh my gosh, that is amazing, we need to implement that, so that we can, check in a little on our marriages. And then after the live, and I also said, oh my gosh, I'm so going to implement this, right? After the live, I sat down, I was speaking to my sister-in-law, and I was like, that was a good thing, right? And we're just like, yeah, we're such in awe of it. Like, yeah, it is amazing. Like, we really need to do it. So my sister-in-law is like, yeah, well, I do it with my friendships and all of that. And then it hit me that, you know what, with friendships, it's easy because you're hardly as offended by friends than you are with your husband or your partner, right? And it got me thinking that I said I'm going to do it with my husband, but am I actually ready? And am I healed enough to go to a point where I'm being scrutinized and criticized? Although, yes, the check-in is not only about, telling you what you did wrong and all of that, and it's about praising you as well. I had to be really honest with myself and be like, I don't think I'm ready. Like my sister-in-law also made an example that if I had that with my friends, with my kids, and they tell me how they didn't they tell me how they didn't like how I did a specific thing, how am I going to respond to that? Am I going to respond from a place of defense because I'm going to be like, I do so much, I do this and I do that, and you're going to come here and you're going to tell me that I'm not doing this and this right or correct, like most of our black parents do? Or are you going to take it in and try to rectify it? And you can only do the latter if you're healed and if you are okay with yourself. So opening up that kind of line for that kind of communication needs to find you at a place where you are actually healing, or healed. I can't say completely healed, but you are healing. Because, for example, if I was to do that with my child back then, I think now I'm okay. I am learning to not take things like I did say with my previous video, not to shame myself because of a deed that I did wrong, not to what can I say, not to attach myself to what I did wrong, so now I think I know better. But if I didn't know better, and my child or my husband tells me I didn't like what you no, if my husband comes and tells me you messed up here 1 2 3, my response to that would be like, I am such a bad wife, I am a bad mom, hence my emphasis for all of this is to start at a place of healing. Now, going back to why I say that we are reactive communicators, is that we only want to open this line of communication once we hit a rock, or when we are within a heated moment, or you wanna only start communicating with your partner when things are crazy, which takes me back to the marital counseling that I went with my husband. We went there because we were trying to remedy our communication instead of having to start it in the beginning and started at this is where I come from, these are my triggers. I need you to understand that when you say 1 2 3, it brings me back to where I come from. So communication is not just the thing that we need to go into in relationships just to remedy things, to fix things, and if we can get the hang of actually communicating from the get-go and being very upfront with how we feel and how things make us feel in the beginning, then even when things are a bit tough, or you're in an argument or in a disagreement, you won't take it as a personal attack towards you, right? So now, one of the other things that I also realized about myself, and that I freely speak about how I'm very confrontational about things that I don't like. And I actually started learning in marriage that I actually am not so confrontational. And when I do confront it, I shy away from anything that's going to make me feel like I am horrible, which then makes me a horrible communicator. I either want to avoid communication, I either want to abort communication in the middle of, something that is, at its peak, if I can put it that way. And so now I'm learning to, come back to a place where I can be like, be able to confront, but not make it the other person's responsibility to understand. Well, rather, not make it his full responsibility to understand where I'm coming from. And if I see that the person is not understanding where I'm coming from, I need to now lure them into why or where this response from me comes from. I'll give you one last example. Recently, we're having a conversation with my friends, and so this is how I am, and I'm trying to unlearn this, right? I will say things as though I'm joking, bit by bit, in a conversation, throw it in like, oh yeah, remember you kicked my ball. Oh no, yeah, well, you're the people who like kicking my ball. Those kind of snide comment in a conversation that is totally unrelated. My friends picked that up and we were talking about it, and then while we were talking, I tried to like go around the bush, about why I responded the way I responded. But in the end, I had to now tell them where the crux of the matter was, that, guys, okay, so this happened to me, which made me fear this. So each time you guys do this, it makes me feel like I'm back here. So they got to understand. They got to understand that, oh, okay. And I think next time when they do speak or they do something again, they'll know that they mustn't mention how they kicked my ball. Obviously I can't tell you what the conversation is, but I think you guys get the drift, right? So the moral of this video is just going back to confronting your brokenness. Confronting your brokenness is not merely just identifying where your triggers come from, but it's identifying or learning how to respond to the triggers, because triggers will always be there. Triggers are there forever, because it's not like if you pass by your uncle who has molested you when you were young, you won't remember what he did to you. But the key thing, the most important thing in your healing journey is learning how to respond to the trigger. And once we get that right, communication will be seamless. Also, one thing, communication is communication and vulnerability go hand in hand. And I know we speak about vulnerability being like as though it's something so easy, and I marry them together because I feel both of them are hard. It's something that you cultivate. It's something that you're not born to be vulnerable. You're not born to be a good communicator, and they are both risky businesses. Like, I could say something to my husband and he could take it from his, point of triggers, and then his response then becomes something that I was not expecting, so it's tricky, but it's doable, and it's something that you cultivate, especially if you're in a relationship or in a marriage with someone. It's where you teach each other how to communicate with each other, and you teaching the next person how to communicate with you doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that they should stop expressing how they feel about your actions. And this, I'm talking about communication in a sense of, in a sense of if you guys were not seeing eye to eye or something, you understand? But yeah, it shouldn't be a form of, belittling someone. Like, if you want to communicate how somebody has disappointed you in something, you should never find yourself attaching them to the deed. Try find ways to say you were disappointed in something they did without dissing their character or who they are or demeaning them, right? So I think, yes, I still stand that communication is a great tool to fuel and to keep good relationships, but I also feel like the biggest thing that you would need to do in your communicating is to identify your triggers and learn how to respond correctly to your triggers. So yeah, my name is Tisa Tsusileko, and that's all that I wanted to say for today. I will be posting another video, I hope, on our what's on your heart segment, because I do have some things that people want to know. But until then, it is bye bye from me. Don't forget to like and to subscribe, and if you were keen on learning more about confronting your brokenness, not only from me but from a whole lot of people, you are most welcome to join us for our conference that is happening on the 13th to the 14th of August of 2021. Tickets are available on Quicket, and for easy access, you can just follow me on Instagram and follow the link on my bio. Anyway, that is me, and it is goodbye.